The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Today we're talking about the long-term direction of the New York Jets. What does the cap look like? How many draft picks do they have? We'll get into all that and more with the Buffalo Jet fan when he joins the show. It's the Jake Asman Show. Happy Saturday. Let's hit it and get it started. Man. This is the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. We have Brees Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. It is time to talk all things Jets on a Saturday. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And, of course, if you haven't joined the Patreon yet, what are you waiting for? Get in there, get access to the Discord, bonus shows, discounts on merch, and a whole lot more. Before we bring on today's guest, the Buffalo Jet fan, reminder, 4 to 8 tomorrow Eastern time. You'll hear me on ESPN New York. So there will not be a post-game show on YouTube until 8 p.m. tomorrow night, doing 4 hours of radio. And then we'll hop on YouTube and probably do, 2-3 hours talking about Jets Dolphins for the post-game show. But if you want my immediate thoughts on Jets Dolphins, download the ESPN New York app or put on 880 a.m. if you're in the New York area, and you'll hear me talking about the Jets. All right, let's say hello to our dear friend, the Buffalo Jet fan. BJF, you brought this up before we started. I think the last time I had you on, we maybe still had hope about what the season could be.
Yeah, man, it's gone off the rails. You need to change your intro. We have Michael Clemens, we have Javon Kinlaw, we have Todd Downing.
God,
it's brutal, man.
It's been such a nightmare. I mean, I guess we could start with the game tomorrow. I don't have a good feeling about it. You know, the Jets never win down in Miami. Yeah. They haven't won down there since Rex Ryan's last game as the Jet coach. No Sauce, no Brees Hall. Your thoughts on this one tomorrow against the Miami Dolphins?
You know, I keep waiting for those games where you're like, you count the Jets out and they get a meaningless win, but I think they may actually be committed to the tank this year, man. I don't know. I see them be one more win. Miami's tough because even the last couple of years when the Jets defense has been good, Miami's offense has still given them fits. All the yak weapons they have, I think like A-Chain is going to kill us on screens. Look, I know Sauce Gardner's not having a good year, but we're going to find out in pretty quick order that he's better than Brandon Echols and Quantez Stiggers. It's a 7-point spread, Jets at Miami. I think Miami will probably win. Now, when Tua has to come to MetLife and play in the cold, that could be a game that the Jets win along with Jacksonville. But I'm with Vegas here. I think this will probably be Miami by about a touchdown.
Look, it's a game that, in theory, the Jets should have a chance to win because I don't think Miami's great. But the one thing Miami does do under McDaniel is they win the games they're supposed to win, and that's something that Robert Saleh never did, right? Like everyone talks about how Miami can't beat a good team, which is true, but at least their fans get the illusion that they might be fake good. Like the Jets couldn't even do that the last couple of years, so that's why I have very little faith in the Jets winning this game.
No, and Brees Hall is going to be tough too. Like Braylon Allen's good, but Brees just another weapon out of the backfield that's lost. Just tough to have faith with Rodgers. You know, you're going to get like a couple of good drives, but it's great. It's unbelievable. You know, those like charts that me and you were making videos in the offseason, like is where like Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, and Tim Boyle were, and like how close Aaron, he's still better. Some people lose their minds about that. He's obviously still better, but how close he is in some of those like advanced analytics. It's unbelievable, man. If you'd have told me we would have been, 3-9, I would have sworn to you it's because Rodgers got hurt. The fact that he's played every snap, and we're still 3-9, man. It leaves you like, what else do you have to say, man? It's tough.
You know, it's so true. And I've said this, like if you would have told me before the year, hey, Aaron Rodgers would have 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He would not miss a single snap due to injury, what would the Jet record be? Would they be more likely to be 3-9 at this point or 9-3? I think everyone would have said, "Oh, 9-3. He's putting up solid numbers. The defense is elite. Greg Zuerlein doesn't miss, and here come the Jets, baby." And you bring up the chart. I mean, this is only from this past game against the Seahawks, but Aaron Rodgers is in the Zach Wilson corner. BJF, look at it.
Oh, no. It's tough, man. Yeah, this Jets team is the opposite of complimentary football, man, because that's why, like, at this point, the who gets the blame is kind of a silly argument, because all of it's been fraudulent. Even if Aaron Rodgers was playing at this level and the defense and the special teams were great, okay, could we have gotten 8 wins instead of 4? Sure. Or if the inverse, if the defense and special teams still fell off, but Aaron Rodgers was still playing like a top 12 quarterback level, we would have still been drawing dead to do anything. And then even if Rodgers was good and the defense was good, the coaching staff would put a firm ceiling on what this team could have accomplished. So it's not even like the last 2 years where it's like, oh my gosh, if we just had a competent offense. This year it's just been a complete team effort of losing, with some bad luck along the way, of course.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We're talking with the Buffalo Jet fan. Make sure you guys check out his content on his channel as well. So I've been waiting, BJF, for a fishbowl I ordered from Amazon to arrive. It hasn't arrived yet. Why am I waiting for a fishbowl to arrive? Because I have all these raffle tickets right here that have been put together based on how many people gifted a membership. Once we hit 100 memberships, that was when we were going to put all the names in a fishbowl, and I was going to pick a lucky winner to win this Garrett Wilson jersey that I have right here. Don't have the fishbowl, but I do have a makeshift bucket here with 100 tickets in here. So coming up in a bit, we will pick a lucky winner for the Garrett Wilson jersey. If you were a part of the membership gifts, your name is accounted for in here. We'll do a first place winner, which is the GW jersey, and then second and third place, we'll get an item from the Jake Asman merch store. So for those of you waiting for the raffle drop, it is coming. If you gift a membership, it will go towards the next 100 group of names, where the grand prize for that is a Quinnen Williams jersey. So for every membership you gift, you get 1 ticket with your chance to win some Jet prizes. It's the season of giving here on the Jake Asman Show. So shout out to everyone who's tuned in, waiting for the raffle results. Now, I wanted to talk about the direction they could go in the offseason, BGF. Obviously, the Jets need a GM. They need a head coach. Right. But then once that's in place, how do you view what the plan will be for this franchise going forward? Do you feel like this is a rebuild, retool? How do you view the direction this franchise heads once we finally get the new GM and coach in place?
It's an interesting question, because it feels like they're a little bit in no man's land. I mean, well, first of all, like, as down and out as we are, let's not pretend like this is a roster full of scrubs. There was a reason a lot of us were excited at the beginning of the year, and that's because Joe Douglas, for all his faults, did acquire a lot of talented players. The Jets have 6 starting players on offense and 6 on defense who are anywhere from good to excellent starter, who are 27 years or younger, including 4/5 of your offensive line in Olu, Tippmann, AVT, Simpson, Garrett Wilson, Brees. Then on defense, you got Quinnen, Jermaine, McDonald, Quincy, Sauce, and Michael Carter. And maybe Sherwood could join that if he's re-signed. So that's most teams who are looking for a new GM and head coach probably have less like talent than that. But the problem is the most important spots are quarterback and head coach, and we don't have a quarterback of the future, and we obviously need a new head coach. So, and if you look at the cap situation, it's not completely dreadful, and the draft pick situation, they didn't completely mortgage the future either. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel if they can, but they have to nail coach and quarterback. You saw the Denver Broncos do it with $80 million dead money from Russ. They got a coach, they got a quarterback, and now they're probably going to make the playoffs. My guess is that a new staff is going to come in here, and probably the first decision will be to release Aaron Rodgers with the information I have now. If he goes on a 5-game tear, looks like an MVP, maybe that changes things. But I think a new staff is going to want to start over with their own guy, kind of like Sean Payton. As soon as he can cut Russell Wilson, he did. And Russell Wilson could still play, but he wasn't his guy. Bo Nix is his guy. I think a new staff is probably going to want to do that. And then they'll probably, make some modest free agent investments, hope to hit on some draft picks. And I think the goal would be to try and pursue a wild card. That's a reasonable goal. Is there anything they can do next year to be Super Bowl contenders? No. They're not going to get in. They're not signing Andy Reid, and Aaron Rodgers isn't going back to 2011. But other teams turn it around pretty quickly. So I think that should be the goal, to retool. Maybe you draft a quarterback, maybe you sign another bridge quarterback, but by no means is this a situation where you're coming in to the Raiders, to the Giants, where that first year you're going to be a 4 or 5 win team. So I don't know. I think if you have decent quarterback play and decent coaching, and you make some of your kicks, I don't see why this can't be a team that could try to win 8 or 9 games and at least be on the graphic for the wild card on the last week of the season. I'm
with you. I don't think this situation is as dire as it's portrayed to be. People talk about, the Jets mortgaged their future for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, not really. They were bad before he got here. They were a 7-1 team. Last year, they won 7 games without him. This year, they'll be a little worse, which you actually could argue is better with a new GM, a coach coming in, as far as making the job more attractive, especially if they end up really bottoming them out and are maybe in range to get, a quarterback in the top 3, top 4, however it shakes out. But like the idea they mortgage their future, not really. I mean, they still have a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round draft pick. As you talked about, they could take their medicine with some of these moves that the previous regime made and kind of reset the salary cap. And there is young talent on this team, including a number 1 wide receiver, a star running back, 4/5 of the O-line in place. You brought up all the players on defense. Like, the cover is not bare here, but the biggest thing is they got to nail the coaching hire, because that's the only way they can maximize the talent that still is on this team.
The head coach, I think, is going to be the biggest decision that they make. We'll see what happens at quarterback. We'll see what happens at GM. But I think a head coach who can provide some leadership, install a culture, and then provide an offensive staff that can provide adequate coaching to the young quarterback that they bring in is going to be the biggest thing. I know it's not a desirable job. I'm not going to cope and say, guys are going to be banging down the door to work for Woody Johnson. That's just not reality. But the way I look at it is, there's only, so many spots that open up every year, and it is a promotion, and you get to be a millionaire. And Woody Johnson, even though he's inept and eventually he starts meddling, he typically will fire you long after most owners would. So I think that's the pitch, is like job security. And he's never been cheap about, like, Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh were very well compensated. Joe Douglas made $20 million from the New York Jets, and he got, close to 6 years. So that's really the only sales pitch, is like, hey man, you get some job security, you got some talent, you're going to be well paid, and there's only so many openings. And guess what, Jake? I don't know if you know this. The Kansas City Chiefs job isn't open. The Buffalo Bills job isn't open. The Ravens job isn't open. The Lions job isn't open. So all the jobs that are open for a reason. It's teams that have all kinds of problems. So you can call that a cope, but that's just kind of the reality. There's not that many very rarely do you walk into a great situation when a team is looking to start over at GM and head coach.
When you look at the options, who's your number 1 guy? Give us, not even the number 1. Give us the Buffalo Jet fan top 5 of coaches you'd love to see the Jets hire.
Yeah, I know he's the man of the hour, man, but I am drinking the Kool-Aid on Mike Vrabel. It makes me nervous that we all want him, because typically when we all want a guy, and we get him, it sucks. Like, case in point, Aaron Rodgers. But
even Robert Saleh, by the way, was like universally praised by most Jet fans.
Yeah, Joe Douglas too. Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh were kind of the people's choices, man. And they were, I made the joke, like, they were highly respected around the league. I'm like, we need to get somebody who's not respected at all. That's a pivot we have to make. Everybody who's respected, it ends up sucking here. Maybe we need John Gruden. Nobody respects him. But my number 1 would be Mike Vrabel. To me, a guy who can come in and change your culture, a guy who's been he's got 6 playoff appearances with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback, and he can feel the staff, man. I know he hired Todd Downing and Keith Carter, but that was after he hired LaFleur, who got poached and is a great head coach. He hired Arthur Smith, who failed as a head coach, but he only failed as a head coach because he did a bang-up job. He did a really good job as an OC. And then on his 3rd try, he hired Todd Downing, who sucks, but who's probably still better than Nate Hackett. And he actually had the balls to fire Keith Carter. So Vrabel will be number 1 to come in here, change our culture, and start to clean this mess up, add some discipline and some legitimacy to the franchise. And then I think beyond that, like, my next 2 through 5 choices would probably be, I'm looking towards the offensive side of the ball. We can get a defensive-minded head coach, and they could be good. A special teams coach, they can be good. But if all things are equal, I want to have a bias towards offense, man, because we haven't seen a good offense in so long. So I don't know if Ben Johnson's picking up the phone for Woody Johnson, but he'd be on there. I think Joe Brady, offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, is an under the radar name that, has Josh Allen playing turnover free football for the first time in his life. And I liked him in the last cycle. Todd Monken, who's never been a head coach in the NFL. He's a little older, but I think he's like a Bruce Arians type, where it's like, man, why you see him as a head coach? It's like, why did this guy take so long to get hired? Has Lamar playing at MVP level again? So that'd be my top 4. And then I'd probably throw Aaron Glenn in there. Just if we want to mix it up, throw one defensive guy in there, a guy who played for the Jets under Parcells and actually underwent a lot of mentorship under Parcells in terms of the front office side of things, and is doing a really good job with the Detroit Lions defense. So I don't think Robert Saleh's problem was that he's a defensive-minded head coach. I think Robert Saleh's problem was that his personality wasn't really conducive to being a leader of a 53-man team. So I don't have necessarily the heebie-jeebies about hiring another first-time defensive-minded head coach. Wouldn't be my top 4 choices. So I would go 1, Vrabel, 2, Johnson, 3, Brady, 4, Monken, 5, Aaron Glenn, I guess.
How do you view experience versus a first timer? I know Johnson's your number 2, and I'm with you. Like, if you can get the top offensive guy for a change, it's worth the roll of the dice. But for me, if I'm not getting Ben Johnson, I gotta hire someone with previous head coaching experience. I'm tired of these guys who have never done it, learning on the job. I just think it's such a dire situation here to get this right. I need someone who at least has a resume that has done it at a high level before.
Well, I think I disagree a little bit, because I'd say if you could get somebody with good experience, then yes. But if I'm looking around, besides Vrabel, I don't know if there's a lot of retreads that really get
Brian
me
Flores, I'll give you an example of. How do you feel about him?
I would be okay with him. I think he gives a little bit of the hard ass nature you're looking for with Vrabel. He hates Tua, which is a bonus. And I think with and that Minnesota defense is not very talented, and he's getting the absolute most out of it. And he had 2 winning seasons out of 3 with Miami. One of those with a lot of backup quarterback play. And with Flores, there's a lot of that Minnesota offensive staff is really good. So he could probably pluck a good up and coming OC. Maybe it's former Jet Josh McCown. But yeah, besides Vrabel, I don't know. You look around the league, and the Bills were kind of the Jets for a while, and Sean McDermott was a first-time head coach, and Dan Campbell was a first-time head coach. You've also seen the Commanders go the retread route. So I'm not really married to it has to be an experienced coach, because you bring up some names, like you'll say, hey, Arthur Smith has experience, and then Jet fans vomit. Hey, Matt Nagy, and everyone pokes their eyes out. So it's easier said than done to get somebody with successful experience. So if it's not Vrabel, it's not Flores, maybe there's one other guy. Like for example, I'd say I'd rather go with Joe Brady than Mike McCarthy, for an example of that.
I would agree with that. I think that's fair. We got some housekeeping to attend to here. Frank writes in, Joe Judge is better than Flores. He then adds, big fan of Joe Judge, great motivator, learned from Saban and Belichick, CEO type coach, zero tolerance, coach successfully in New York. Frank, thank you for the time. Your day is over.
Just shut the fuck up. I did not ask for the dumb opinion that came out of your ass, so shut the fuck up.
Obvious troll attempt saying Joe Judge had success in New York, but we appreciate it there, Frank. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time. To pick a winner to find out who's winning the Garrett Wilson jersey.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
All right, here we go, folks. In this fishbowl, that's not even a fishbowl because Amazon didn't deliver it yet, but in this beer bucket that I turned into the Jake Asman bucket are 100 names. Now, for every membership you gifted that got us to that 100 mark, you have a name entered. So I'm going to pick a lucky winner right now, and then we'll do second and third place. Please message me on either Instagram, Twitter, or email me, AsmanJake, if you're the winner, and we'll arrange your prize. And the grand prize winner, hold on, Buffalo Jet fan, I'm going full screen for this moment. Here we go. The winner of the Garrett Wilson jersey is listener King Lowski. Hey, attaboy, King. Let's go, baby. Yeah.
I can't even believe it.
Thank you,
I can't
John.
even believe it.
Believe it, King Lowski. Believe it. King Lowski is our listener number 1. All right, here we go. Let's do second and third place right now. You'll get an item from the Jake Asman merch store. Could even be the hat I'm wearing. Ladies and gentlemen, winner number 2 is Bo C. Bo, congratulations. You are the big number 2 winner. All right. Let's do one more for third place here. Then we'll start over with another 100 names. Here we go. Third place is, hold on. One fell out. I'm not going to look at who it is. Here we go. So everyone can see. We'll pick a name. Here we go. One stuck to the other. Here we go. All right. Third place is Luppy. Luppy, you'll get an item from the Jake Asman merch store. So Luppy and Bo C, second and third place. King Lowski, our first place winner. Congrats to all 3 of the winners right here. Awesome. I'll take care of that after the show. I believe all 3 of those people are in the Discord, so if you guys just want to message me there, that's the best way to do it. Congrats to our winners. Buffalo Jet fan, your thoughts on the 3 big winners?
That was more entertaining than the Jets Dolphins game will probably be.
You're not wrong.
When you were doing your intro, you were like, we're going to do 2 hours on Jets Dolphins. I was like, oh my gosh, Jake, you're a diehard man. I don't know how you do it.
Dude, I'm doing 4 hours on it, essentially on the radio before that too.
Your listeners are committed though, man. You got almost 300 people rolling in here about this team. So shout out to you guys, man. It's almost like I do it more just to like chop it up with my audience than the team at this point.
It's just you know in Madden when like you're playing like franchise mode and you could like sim through a season. I just wish we could sim through these last 5 games and just get to January where we're starting to interview candidates for GM and coach and start
20 more quarters, man. The Jets football, 20 quarters, baby.
Oh, good God. Good God. All right. We got our 3 winners picked. For every membership that's now gifted, it goes towards the next crop of 100 for our next giveaway. We're actually at 90. We only need 90. We got 10. After yesterday's show. So 90 names, gift the membership, and you'll have a chance to win some more prizes. Comments, questions, super chats, they'll cut the line. You know, I wanted to ask you, Buffalo Jet fan, just about this like debate over Aaron Rodgers playing here down the stretch. I think it's all media driven, like the idea they should bench Rodgers now at 3-9 to play Tyrod. I don't see the point. I know what Tyrod is. He's also injury prone, and if your plan is to go with Tyrod as your bridge, why take the chance that Tyrod gets hurt in a meaningless game and he's rehabbing all offseason instead of being, you know, your quarterback that's learning a new system? What did you make of the discussion this week about Aaron Rodgers, whether or not he should continue to start? And what would you do if you were the Jets?
Well, I think the time to play Tyrod would have been when Rodgers was clearly dealing with multiple lower body injuries and the season was still alive. Maybe he could have used a stint on the 4-week IR to come back healthy, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. You know, I'll tell you what, if Jordan Travis was medically cleared, I think there could be an argument to let him run around out there and see what he can do.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's the quagmire too about Tyrod is like he's a solid backup, but he doesn't have the durability to be a bridge. So if they move on from Rodgers next year, they might need a new bridge. But Rodgers, the guys who are healthy are going to play, and we don't have to make apologies for Aaron Rodgers. The results of the trade have been an absolute disaster, unequivocally. But I think that I've heard some of like, oh, well, he's selfish and he's playing through the injuries and it's hurting the team. Like Morgan Moses is playing with a bone fracture. Morgan Moses played with a torn pec last year, and the narrative around him is that he's an Iron Man. And there were some of those games where a top 12 pick in Olu Fashanu was on the bench and Morgan Moses is playing with a fracture in his leg. So if guys are going to play until they're forced out, that's just how the NFL is. And when guys take themselves out of games, then their toughness is questioned. Like, so I think all of this chatter about Aaron Rodgers, his personality, what he says on Pat McAfee, nobody would care if the Jets were winning. It's just now they're losing. So it's going to be, now you see that Netflix documentary coming out and you're like nauseated. But let's be honest, if they were 9-3, I would love to watch that. That would be really, really cool. But no one wants to hear anything about him because the team is terrible.
By the way, I'd like Morgan Moses back on a 1-year deal. I'd draft someone that's eventually going to take over at right tackle. But imagine having the same 5 offensive linemen year over year, just from a continuity standpoint, and getting a better O-line coach. That actually could be one of the strengths of the team. A ground and pound offense, Brees, Braylon Allen, same continuity with the O-line, like you could be competitive just with that, assuming the defense is back to what it should be next year.
Yeah, that's been Joe Douglas's parting gift. Was there are 4 starting offensive linemen who are 27 or younger, and Morgan Moses back on a 1 year. I think this year is making $5-6 million. I'd be totally fine with that, because even if you go O-line in round 1 again, $5 million for a good backup right tackle is totally fine. He's going to play anyway with how the Jets injuries go. So yeah, the offensive line I think is it's been solid this year. It's poorly coached because of Keith Carter. And the run blocking has struggled because our tight ends are pretty terrible at blocking. But I think it's just such common like Jet fan instinct to blame the offensive line. I think the offensive line has been like the least of their problems this year. I think the defense has been fraudulent. The special teams has been terrible. The coaching has been bottom of the barrel. And Aaron Rodgers is just not like a top 20 quarterback this year, unfortunately.
He just hasn't been, man. And it's a shame because it's seemingly getting worse. With Rodgers too, like the last 3 games he's been under 200 yards passing. Like I would say 3 weeks ago I was more pro bring him back as the bridge, but based on how he's now played these last 3 games, I just don't see it. Like he would have to show a lot over the last 5 games for me to even consider dealing with the dead cap going from $49 million if you move off of him this year to $63 million in 2026 if you keep him for just 1 more year.
Yeah, is there any? Well, he was asked to about if the last 5 weeks are an audition for him to return, and he kind of scoffed at that because he's Aaron Rodgers. But to me, I was like, I think it kind of is. I don't know, like especially for a new coaching staff, because no one's questioning Aaron Rodgers' legacy. He's a top 10 quarterback all time. He's going to walk first ballot into the Hall of Fame, no question. But how much left Aaron Rodgers has in the tank, to me, is a question. And to me, my mind could be changed with the last five weeks. Now, maybe that's delusional, but dude, if he goes out through the last 5 weeks and plays like he did against the New England Patriots and is running around and looks healthy, yeah, man, I might start drinking some Kool-Aid again. Now, if he looks how he did last week, the rest of the season, then it'll be a non-starter. So I actually was kind of disappointed to hear that. To me, 5 games is a big enough sample where I don't know, could your opinion be swayed in 5 weeks or no?
If he looks like he did against the Patriots, sure. I think what's so disappointing to me, I really thought he'd play better than he did this past week. Seattle's defense is pretty mediocre. They had the bye. Rodgers wasn't on the injury report for the first time. He says he's healthy. And even in that game, BGF, like the first quarter, he's running around out of the pocket. He's the lead blocker on that trick play from Malachi Corley. He did look healthier. Like, I think he was telling the truth saying he's healthy, but then the accuracy just wasn't there. He was missing throws that Aaron Rodgers blindfolded would make. The throw he missed to Garrett Wilson was inexcusable, and that was one of several throws that the old Aaron Rodgers would make. Now he's just old Aaron Rodgers, and like that's the problem for me. It's like if he wasn't going to play well last week, why am I going to sit here and think he's going to play better over these last 5 games?
Yeah, I think last game I think before that it may have been 60-40 in terms of bringing Rodgers back. And I think after that game was maybe like, now it's more like 80-20, 85-15, because you're correct. To see him have the mobility and to be able to run around and then still complete 50% of your passes for 4.5 yards, like legitimate, like you could copy and paste a lot of our quarterback stat sheets from last year and it would have looked similar as it did to that game, which is pretty unfortunate. But I think even more than that for a new staff, especially if you're a first time staff, like maybe if it's Rabel, he's like, you know what, we're going to come in here and we're going to clean up the discipline and the culture, and we can go and make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers. And if he thinks that, fine. Okay, I'm down, whatever. I watched Bryce Petty. I can watch another season of an old Aaron Rodgers. It's no sweat off my back. But I think for a new staff, if you're coming in and you want to install your system, why would you want to marry your offensive scheme with a 41 going on 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and then the next year when it's a different quarterback, have to say, okay, you know how we didn't do motion because he didn't like it, and we didn't take snaps under center, and we didn't do play action, and we used way too much 12 personnel, and we didn't have a run pass balance. Now, and the offense was him throwing gang signs to Xavier Gibson before throwing a back shoulder fade every time. Now instead of that, now we're going to run our entire offense. Why would you want to do that? You would just want to have a quarterback who's just going to plug in there and run your offense exactly how you want it, because he's not that much better than a typical bridge quarterback you could sign for it to be worth a year of that. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And I also think it's like, you have Tyrod under contract anyway. So it's like he's the perfect bridge quarterback. Now, he could get hurt. So I think there's an argument to be made. You kind of maybe do the Steelers approach if you're not going to go with a rookie because you don't love these quarterbacks. Like the Steelers brought in Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Like if you told me the Jets brought in Justin Fields to go with Tyrod, I could be sold on that for a year. And then maybe the plan is to get the quarterback situation figured out in 2026 in a better QB class. Like I just think there's too many things stacked up against Rodgers. Cap ramifications, the fact that even if you want him to be the bridge quarterback and he might still be your best option, just everything that comes with Rodgers, with him being a 4-time MVP, the lightning rod persona. Like I just feel like a new regime's not going to want to deal with all that, given the guy hasn't played anywhere near to the level we thought he'd play at this year.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. What do you think the Jets' record would be if Tyrod Taylor played the whole year?
Probably similar to what it is right now.
Yeah, I can't think of a single game they would have won that they would have lost with Tyrod that they won with Rodgers. So yeah, I think if they want to maybe have 2 bridge quarterbacks, just to make it that if they draft a rookie, that they can play the rookie on their terms. You don't want to draft some raw rookie and say Tyrod's going to be the bridge, then Tyrod gets hurt week 3, another rookie has to play. So if they want to sign Jameis or bring in Justin Fields, it's going to be a little bit of a transition year there anyway. And unfortunately, the quarterback class isn't great. And you don't want to take a quarterback just to take a quarterback, because that's how you get Kenny Pickett. And it's just a waste. It sets you back. So they're definitely in a state of limbo at the QB position for sure. But I don't think Rodgers will be a part of it. And to be honest, I don't know if he has a home. People keep saying he's going to go to the Vikings. I'm like, Sam Darnold's 27 and better right now. They have their top 10 pick who's heading into year 2. They're going to, I don't know. I think the Achilles ended his career. It's unfortunate. I can't think of another reason of how he looks this much worse. I think being 40 and tearing your Achilles, like, it's not his fault. Look at Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles. He's 36. He looks toast. He has 14 picks. So just a bit of bad luck there. It's kind of sad to see him go out this way.
Here's my reaction. If you were to told me at the beginning of the season the Jets would somehow be 3-9 with Rodgers not missing a single snap due to injury.
I can't even believe it. I can't even believe it.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Heyman losing his you-know-what on WFAN last night. Incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, how about this? Party with Peg and Artie with a 5 spot, and then Peg and Artie on their other account with another 5 spot.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
All right. We got 10 names to read off. Shout out to Peg and Artie, always coming through for the listeners. Mad Team 3 Parents, Hold the Onions, Monkey Manstan, Eric Bianchi, Le Greatness, all receiving a membership. Andal Diet. Where are the names here? Dino, Sam Caruso, Ryan Rivera, Victor Smith, and Matthew, all receiving a membership. I miscounted. Nice. So I said that we already were 10 in on our way to the next 100 for the giveaway. Well, Big Fella was a part of that, so it's actually 15. So we only actually needed, by my math, 85 more members. But guess what? It's now down to 80. Shout out to Rick Kent for coming through for the people. Let's go, Rick. Atticus Hamilton, Sean Evans, Crow Rosan, Mr. Ozimski, and Bobby's Chin Nuts. How about that? All receiving channel memberships. So there you go. That is perfect. BJF, I know you said you got to run. I appreciate you hopping on a little Saturday soiree, and hopefully the next time we talk, maybe we could sim ahead to the offseason. Probably not, but we'll get there eventually, and we'll get you back on the talk.
Hopefully we'll have a top 3 pick the next time we talk, man. I guess we go for that. Anytime, man. Take care.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, the great Buffalo Jet fan joining us. I'll stay on, get to more of your calls, and by more of them, I mean let's get to some of your calls. We haven't gotten to any of them just yet. Ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I thought it'd be easy to grab the tickets and put it in the bucket on the air, but it's hard to do that and do the show. So I will do it after the show, but if you get the membership, you will get your ticket added. And if you missed the drawing earlier, congratulations again to our 3 winners. King Lowski won the Garrett Wilson jersey, and the 2 consolation prizes of an item of your choice from the merch store went to Luppy and listener Bo C, who gifted a ton of memberships to get us to the original 100 mark. So congrats to everyone and appreciate your support. Get your calls coming up. Let's first say hello to Fiore, who writes in with a super chat for us. The offensive line was bad against Denver and Minnesota. Smith was bad and Moses got hurt. Snowball because Rodgers got hurt and hasn't been the same since. Yeah. Look, I think Rodgers getting the you-know-what kicked out of him in those games has had a long-term effect. I think it's also affected his confidence in the pocket, being able to, like, stand there and, like, deliver the football without just, like, thinking. Like, I think he's so concerned about getting hit now, he's not doing things that he would do in his sleep, like get to his second read. Which is something we killed Zach Wilson for, one read quarterback. Well, that's become Rodgers in some of these games, which is just mind-boggling. Ladies and gentlemen, first up on the Gusbuster hotline is the guy who's about to be getting a brand new Garrett Wilson jersey, our grand prize winner for the first ever membership raffle, the King Lowski. What's up, King?
Jake, my brother, Jake, my brother. Yes, sir, I want something this year, my brother. And I got to tell you, baby, I'm excited. You already know the next, baby. You already know. But hey, let me just say this first and foremost. Shout out BJF. We appreciate you for coming on, my brother. Let me say this, man, about these damn Jets, man. We hobbled and all of that, but I'm going to be real with you, man. I want to get this damn game so bad. I want to beat them damn fish. Okay, I know what I know what all the prognosticators say. I know what all of the experts say. You know, we ain't got a chance in hell. But I want this to happen. And I tell you why. Because down there in Miami, we don't win a lot. Okay, and last year we went through the whole stint of not beating the Eagles. The damn Patriots kept whooping ass. I'm tired of not winning in Florida. Okay, let's get this damn dub and let's whoop some fish ass. Okay, because at the end of the day, we know they frauds too. Okay, they can talk all that playoff crap, but we all know in our hearts of hearts that the damn fish ain't going no damn where. We all know that. Okay, they some bottom feeders just like us. But don't worry about it. We're coming for a resurgence, baby. Let's get this damn right. Let's get the right damn GM in here. Let's get the right damn coach, and let's make a damn at least a playoff run next year, okay? Because let's be realistic. We Jet fans. We don't talk Super Bowl a lot, okay? The past 2 years we was talking Super Bowl, okay? Now we came back down to earth. We more level-headed. Let's get in this playoff and make a push, okay? Because it's still all about the Jets, Jets, Jets.
The great King Lowski checking in. Love the Knicks here, Lowski. At least we got one winning team right now. Oh, man. I'm with you. Look, if the Jets are going to win any of these games, I'd love for them to win tomorrow and stick it to the Dolphins. So I see them winning? No, but you know, if you believe in due, they're certainly due to win in Miami. Right? They were due to beat the Eagles last year. No one had them winning that one, and they did. So I guess you never know, but I don't have a good feeling about it. I would like to win tomorrow, though. I want some dead dolphin for dinner. All right? I want to be eating some dead fish on the post-game show tomorrow. Shout out to Bo, who just emailed me. He was one of the winners of our giveaway. I'm responding to his email right now. All right. Let's keep it rolling here. We got more of your calls coming up. Super chat here from Kyle. He says Fields' complete percentage up every year, picks down every year. Yeah, I mean, Justin Fields has gotten better each year. And I think with what the Jets have, right, seemingly a quality offensive line for next year, which is weird to say, but it's true. And Buffalo Jet fans absolutely right. 4 of the Jets' 5 starters are in place and 27 years or under for next year. With a better O-line coach, the Jets could probably have a top offensive line in the league next year. Seriously. Like, you have a really good receiver in Garrett Wilson. You have a really good running back in Breece Hall. You're not starting from nothing. Not bad. But they got to get the coaching hire right. And then you get to the bridge quarterback and quarterback scenarios and all that after. New Jersey Super Trucker, I apologize. I didn't see this till just now. We should have got to it earlier. We should draft Cooper Lagas, quarterback from Tulsa. I have not watched anything from this guy. So if you're talking about a dart throw quarterback option, I couldn't even tell you yet. It's way too early. But I'll look into it for you. I do think even if the Jets don't go quarterback in round 1, they're taking someone to add to that room. There's no doubt about that. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Hit the like button if you're tuned in. Let's get to more of your calls. Ladies and gentlemen, he's decked out in Jake Asman Show apparel. The great Neil is up next. Hello, Neil.
Here I am. Look at that nice, comfortable, warm.
The bucket hat, you and Lowski with the bucket hats. I love it.
Look at the nice, get on your merch store. I know Lowski's supporting all the Knicks stuff. It's easy to put that shit on, but, because they're winning. And I know everybody wants a little boost of confidence since our team sucks so bad. But, I listened intently to Fireman Ed because he fires me up. And he's such a great fan, and he's such an OG. And, Joe Beningo also said this. We have to see what happens these next 5 games, Jake. I mean, look. Clearly, our problem was back in week 3 when everybody criticized Woody Johnson for saying that we should bench Rodgers. Now, certainly we know Woody did not want to bench him because he didn't like his play. He wanted to bench him because he was injured. All right? The fact is that when a quarterback's injured, it's up to the coach to keep him off the field. Hall of Fame quarterbacks, especially Aaron Rodgers, we know has a history of wanting to play injured, right, Jake? He played a whole season with Green Bay with a broken thumb and injured ribs, right?
Correct. But the pushback would be, Neil, if he was that hurt, why wasn't he sat down for a game or two? But it's like they weren't going to tell Aaron Rodgers not to play. Jeff Ulbrich as an interim has no power to try and go to Rodgers and say, hey, you're not playing. I mean, the problem is they that's why they need a real leader. They need someone that has experience that can hold people accountable, and there's not going to be a pushback or a fear of upsetting one of the veteran players on the team, right. That type of stuff.
So the bottom line is the theme for 2024-25 is not going to be it's certainly going to be Aaron Rodgers' regression. That's part of the story, and that's what the media wants to really put front and center in every single goddamn article they write. Okay, but as Ed said, and as Joe Beningo said, who is, again, somebody we respect, he said the biggest problem with the Jets has not been Aaron Rodgers, and I'll argue that. It's been a problem, but not the only problem. The biggest problem is lack of leadership at the coaching position. Because the bottom line is, if a real coach was there, and I hearken back to the game where he was about to go in the blue tent, and then he ran back on the field. Remember that?
Yeah, I was there in London.
Right. Bottom line is, if another coach, if Vrabel or who's the coach that everybody wants, the guy that was on Miami, what's his
Brian
name? Flores, Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, real coaches that are leaders at the sidelines would have stopped him, said, Aaron, go sit down on the bench. We have a very adequate backup with Tyrod Taylor. You're injured right now. Go relax. Take it easy. And you put Tyrod Taylor in to finish that game, number 1, to play the next game, number 2, and possibly even the third game, number 3, and let Aaron get his legs back. Let him work off the injury. Let him heal the hamstring and bring him back at least as healthy as he was the game we just had. Then possibly Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have been so gun-shy about the offensive line, because clearly the offensive line was leaking like crazy during that 3-game stretch. It was horrible.
Well, Neil, everything you're saying is true, but at this point, like, it's in the past. Like, now it's all about getting the right leadership in here going forward. But yeah, I don't think you could justify bringing Rodgers back because now he's healthy and not playing well. How do you explain that?
All right, but I'll explain that by the fact that hopefully, he's going to change up. Hopefully these next 5 games, he's going to recognize the fact that if you look at the tape, if he looks at this tape and he's going to say to himself, holy shit, I missed Conklin wide open in the left sideline when I rushed the pass because everybody dropped into coverage. And instead of sitting back there like a normal quarterback and letting things develop and going to my second read. I rushed it. I made a mistake because I'm too worried about a blitz because my offensive line is not going to pick it up correctly and I might get sacked. So if he looks at his tape realistically, he might come to a realization that he needs to take more time to look at things and realize that his offensive line is indeed blocking, and he does have more time than he thinks he has, and his mental clock has to readjust. Okay?
I hope. What if he's just cooked? What if he just can't process like he used to because he's older?
Jake, but let me just say this to you. Our fan base, if we were Denver Bronco fans and we watched Russell Wilson a couple of years ago, we would be calling for his head and saying to get rid of him as well. And now look at him.
I agree, but I think what we forget with Rodgers is he is 41 now. Other than Brady, no one's ever really played this late into their 40s at a very high level.
Okay, but Russell Wilson's not a young chicken either, Jake.
He's not, but there is a difference between like Russell Wilson's. I think Russell's either 35 or 36. Let's look up how old he is. Russell Wilson age. He's 36. Like he just turned 36 in November 29th. Like there is a pretty substantial difference between 36 and 41. Rodgers won an MVP at 38 and 39.
Okay, so my point is, isn't it safe to say, because understand Russell Wilson's game, okay? Russell Wilson is partially a running quarterback, and he got the absolute crap kicked out of him in Seattle, especially the last 3 seasons there, where he took a lot of punishment, Jake. Probably no other quarterback in the last 5 years took more punishment than Russell Wilson did in Seattle. I mean, he got crushed game after game. He was getting the shit kicked out of him. So when you look at that, you got to say there's a chance that Aaron Rodgers could fix his game a little bit. Not the same quarterback. And I'll harken back to things, he has to change his game. Russell Wilson changed his game, and he had the assistance of a good coaching staff to do it. I'll give you another good example. Somebody I think who has a good shot to win MVP this year. Baker Mayfield, another quarterback that everybody thought was cooked, right? Look at Baker Mayfield. He is playing lights out right now for Tampa Bay, and he has a shot to take them to a playoff run. And he's doing it, by the way. He did it a lot of games without Evans, and he did it with a far inferior roster offensively than we have at the Jets. I mean, let's face it. Tampa Bay's not exactly world beaters on the offensive side of the ball. Would you agree with that?
Neil, he can't move. That's my big thing. He's not moving well.
Who's not moving well?
Rodgers.
He moved well last game, didn't he?
And then all the accuracy was gone on some of the easiest throws.
Okay, again, the accuracy was not the biggest problem. The biggest problem was the reason he threw the pick six was he's jumpy, he's fidgety in the pocket because he.
What happened on the Garrett Wilson play before the pick six? That was an accuracy. He was wide open,
but he still rushed it, Jake. He could have just stood there for 2 more seconds and lobbed it.
I just think we got to be realistic.
But you know what? Let me tell you something, Jake. Too. Okay, I watch a lot of highlights of a lot of other games. That's not the first quarterback that missed a wide open guy in the end zone.
Of course not, but it's been a theme. He missed other throws in that game too. He's been under 200 yards passing the last 3 games in a row. His accuracy is not even close to what it's been. He doesn't look like the same guy. We got to be fair.
All right, but let's look at the first half of that game. He did do some good things in the first half.
He did well on the opening drive, and he did well on the short field that was set up by the guy on the Jet special.
He got us in the end zone a couple of times in that game.
He did, but then they scored 14 total points against a mediocre defense.
All right, but wait a minute. But, Jake, they made adjustments. We did not make adjustments.
Neil, I cannot defend the play. The play is not good enough. And he had the bye week to get healthy, and then he was not good. If he plays well down the stretch, like a 5-game sample size, fine. I'm just preparing you. Don't expect it to look that much different tomorrow. I don't see it.
I get it, but my point is this. If he does play well, let's just say something. We beat Miami tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay? We play a competitive game against Buffalo, maybe win the game, pull one out of our ass, and Aaron Rodgers is playing well in the next 5 games. Do you want to tell me at the end of the day, if we beat Miami, who we haven't beaten goddamn Miami since 2014, okay, and we beat them with Aaron Rodgers, and we split against Buffalo, and now we're down to the last game, and he plays well down the stretch.
Yeah, that'd be different, but we have no evidence
Okay,
to
so
suggest
my
how that's
point
going
is,
to happen.
let's still wait and see. Let's not make judgments now, because the bottom line is we don't have many great choices.
Yeah, but it's not really about just like Rodgers versus the other choices. It's Rodgers at what he is, and then the cap ramifications of keeping him an extra year. Is it worth that when he's no longer winning you games? He's not elevating guys anymore. He's just a guy.
Okay.
Why am I letting my dead cap go from $49 million to $62 million for a bridge quarterback? I have Tyrod on my team who could do that. I could sign Jameis Winston who could do that. I could sign one of those guys. We just got to be real about what
Winston
we're seeing.
Is a fun player to watch as a bridge quarterback, but the reality is we're gonna.
He's playing for $4 million this year, Neil. Aaron Rodgers is going to account for $23 million against the cap next year, which is fine if he was playing well.
What is that? If Aaron Rodgers plays well and takes a cut in salary next year, what is he realistically going to be playing for? How much money could he possibly play for?
Why would he take another cut in salary? He already did that.
Because he knows he performed poorly this year. Let's just say he wants to run it back. I mean, he's not going to have a lot of options. What if he does take a salary cut?
The reason why he's not going to have a lot of options is because he hasn't played well.
I understand that. But my point is this. If he
Hold on. You just made me $2 richer. Neil channeling as Johnny Cochran. Rodgers is done, says Big Fella.
I understand what Big Fellow understood, Big Fella. It's very easy. It's like saying Allen talking about how crappy the team is. I heard Allen this morning saying we should tank now, tank next year. He wants us to tank next year so we can get Peyton Manning's son.
Okay.
Who is not going to come to the Jets.
Allen's not a Jet fan. He doesn't want to see the team win. The only thing Allen cares about is airtime on as many different shows as possible.
It's just so frustrating. But all in all, let's have a big win tomorrow. Let's squish the goddamn fish.
I hope you're right,
I
Neil.
want
you to be right. I want to beat the Dolphins' ass. I want Rodgers to play great. But I until 3 weeks ago, I was pro bring him back and draft someone behind him. He hasn't played well. He sucked against Arizona. He was bad against the Colts. I don't care if they scored a lot of points that day. We watched the game. We saw what happened. And he sucked last week.
Okay.
Outside of the first drive.
Let's assume that he was still not 100% healthy against the Colts, right? I mean, can we admit that? He walked off the field. He looked like a hobbled man in many of the end of the drive, right?
Okay. How do we explain the Arizona performance where they scored 6 points after he came off, his best half as a Jet at the game I was at against the Texans on Halloween?
How do I explain that?
Yeah, I mean, he just hasn't been good, Neil. We got to call it for what it is. And everything that comes with keeping him for another year, it's not worth it when he's playing like this.
I understand that, but I just say to you, let's see what happens. Okay. If the choices are good, if we had everybody with these draft bullshit statements, the bottom line is if we draft 6 or 8 or 10 versus 2 or 3 or 4, is it going to make that dramatic of a difference in our team in 2025? Yes.
Well,
or no?
the top 3 would if they lose out, because you're potentially getting Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders if those are the top 2 quarterbacks. Outside of the top 3, I don't know if there's that big of a difference between 4 and 8.
We already know, Jake, that taking a quarterback, we already know from all the experts that this is a relatively shitty quarterback class.
Outside of the top 2 guys.
Wait. Let me ask you this. Would the top 2 guys of this year be in the top would be a higher selection than any of the top 5 that were taken last year?
Probably not, other than maybe
Bo
Nix
Nix was the last guy taken, and the guy's great.
I know, but the reality is last year's class was considered one of the better classes we've had. I mean, it's all a crapshoot at the end of the day. But the point is,
by the way, we have our crapshoot. We have Jordan. What's his name? Jordan Travis.
He's not a
Jordan
real crapshoot.
Travis.
He's a 5th round pick coming off a catastrophic. He would have been. He would have been a 4th round pick. He went.
Wait a minute. He was not going to be a 4th round pick if he didn't have the catastrophic injury. They said he would have been top in the 1st round, right?
He would not have been in the 1st round. He would not even been in the 2nd round. He would have at best been a late 3rd round pick, more likely a 4th round pick.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he was better.
He's undersized and doesn't have a great arm. I like Jordan Travis. He was fun to watch his last year at Florida State, but he was never going to be a guy that was going to go in the 1st round.
Okay. But from that perspective, I never, ever want us to depend on getting a franchise quarterback to take us into the next century, unless the guy's a no-brain, a no thing. I'd rather take a guy.
I wouldn't play any of these guys. If they pick second overall and they take a quarterback, I don't want that guy playing right away. I want him on the bench until at least the first 10 games of the year, and then we'll reevaluate where the Jets are at that point.
Okay, so realistically, Jake, so we're clear. If there are two good quarterbacks in this draft coming up, they're both going to go in the top 4 or 5, correct?
Most likely, yep.
Okay. We're not going to be in the top 4. We're going to win games. We're not going to be in the top 4.
I would think they would too, but you look at the schedule left, there's probably one game left that they're going to win, and that's next week against the Jaguars.
That, Jake, that's not – you're making an assumption here, dude. Let's talk
they
tomorrow.
Have 3
hey,
they've won
the post game tomorrow.
One game since September 19th.
And I'm going to tell you something. I was listening to you and your buddy there, and you pick against the Jets again. I'm telling Fireman Ed.
Had it
you keep going against the Jets, I'm going to get mad at you.
Had it work last week? Had it work against the Colts? Had it work against Arizona?
I'm kidding you.
I'm being realistic. You think I like having to talk about this?
No,
thing
I know.
You think I like the fact that at this time in September I'd have probably 900 people watching live, and now we barely have over 300? This has been one of the worst years of my life. I hate it. I just gotta be real. I don't see them winning tomorrow.
I told you, I've been saying this all along, and I say it. Beningo said it. Ed said it. And I'm talking from the OG perspective. And, we've watched a shit ton more of football than any of you guys. Okay. And this is really up there with one of my worst experiences ever. I mean, it is really, really been crap. But it's really been crap, not because the team is crap, but Jesus Christ, the thing is because of our expectations, okay?
Yeah.
Nobody in this chat did not want and was not happy the day we signed Aaron Rodgers. That's safe to say? Except maybe Allen. Is everybody on that chat?
Even Allen wanted Rodgers.
Yeah. I want to go back. Jay, could you do this? Go back in the archives. Please try to find something where Allen said, did he ever say we're going to win like 12 games or 10 games?
He had the Jets winning 10 games this year.
He did?
Mm-hmm.
You know that you remember that?
I do. Yeah, I do.
And what was his thoughts about Aaron Rodgers? Do you have anything positive to say about Aaron Rodgers?
I think he picked them to win 10 because of Rodgers, because we know he was never a solid guy.
Oh, no, we knew that. What about Joe Douglas? He never said anything good about him, right?
No, of course not.
Son of a bitch. This guy Allen is getting on my stick, and I don't,
he's not a Jet fan. All Allen cares about is going on as many shows as possible with his peanut head, to quote.
He just loves to hear himself talk about.
He does. He lives to get attention from random strangers in the comment section.
But I will say this to you, Jake. I love BJF. I wanted to say hello to him. He has this like cynical common sense, right, Jake? I mean, he comes out, he's really, he'll say things like, oh, we got it. But again, even him, everybody wants to see the next 5 games. Let's not shut the door on Aaron just yet. I'm not saying there's a likelihood he's coming back.
I agree.
I'm not saying that's the best choice.
But how could you even try to present like, oh, like he could do that? Like, I would love to see it, Neil.
There's one problem, but here's the point, Jake. His problem is not right. His problem is not his ability to move around the pocket, because when he's healthy, he could still do that. Yes or no?
Yeah, I mean,
he did it last week. He even threw a block.
Yes, but now the accuracy not being there might tell me he's shot. Might tell me he's washed.
He hasn't lost his arm strength, has he?
No.
Okay. Is Achilles?
But he's lost his accuracy. Has he lost his accuracy?
All right, wait. He's losing his accuracy because he's rushing the passes, number one.
He's had time, Neil. The line's been good.
Wait, but here's the other thing, Jake.
We're back.
Are the receivers, every one of those receivers, running perfect patterns where they're supposed to run?
Neil, I'm sorry. He has Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. He's under 200 yards passing 3 straight games. You got to stop defending this guy. And I love Rodgers.
I'm not
He's
defending
41
him,
and playing like it. You are defending him. You're trying to justify his poor play. Well, why can't we just say he hasn't been good?
He has not been good. I agree. But I'm saying I want to wait 5 more games to
Okay.
make determinations.
We will wait 5 more games. We
All
have nothing else
right,
to do.
that's all I'm saying. And when we win tomorrow, I'm going to be on the post game, dude. You better put me front and center. 'Cause
Neil,
we're winning this goddamn game tomorrow.
You're first on the show tomorrow if the Jets win. You got a deal.
And I want, Aaron has a good game. I want total. I'm taking receipts here the next 5 games. That's all I got to say. Last thing, I love you guys. I love the chat. Again, guys, it's been a rough season. We're going to come back. Lowski's going to put his Jet stuff back on one day, after the Knicks. He'll put that back on. And I'm going to end with this. Juan Soto is going to be a New York Met.
I think that guy. I know, right?
Can we just go back to the home opener when the vibes were high? A great pregame tailgate. A great night. Jets were 2-1. Rodgers was playing great. He truly was. We didn't need any Neil spin for that one. He was awesome that night. And honestly, then you fast forward to 10 days later. And it was not the Denver game that ruined the Jets season. It was what happened before the Denver game in the parking lot that many are saying might have ruined the Jets season. Shout out to Neil, one of the greats. Incredible. I hope Neil's right. I hope Rodgers balls out, but we got to be real. Kyle Clifton with a super chat. What fixes a suddenly jumpy, gushy quarterback at 41? Like, we can't even use the line as an excuse, people. Obviously, the offensive line sucked against Denver and Minnesota, but Rodgers claims he's healthy. He was moving around last week, and he's missing throws he would make blindfolded any other year of his career. That's going to change over the last 5 games. I hope it does. I just want to be real. All right, Ryed, he gifted 5 memberships, and the reason being, he said, is because of Neil trying to be optimistic, which I respect. Ladies and gentlemen, we say thank you to Ryed, and if you're optimistic because of Neil, here we go. All right, Ryed, you got 5 entries in our next raffle. For those tuning in late, we picked 3 winners earlier. King Lowski won the Garrett Wilson jersey. The 2 consolation prizes were won by Bo and were won by Luppy. They're getting an item of their choice from the merch store. We got the winning tickets right here. I'll start gathering the list of names for our next raffle, which could be by the postgame show tomorrow. With the amount of memberships that we've had, we needed 90 more before the show started. Now we only need 70 more after we've added 20 during the show. King Blaze, Jay Brown, Alan S. Jarasta, Ken Burgos, and Aaron Quinos, all receiving channel memberships. I will get back to your calls in a second. Couple super chats here I want to address. Rick Kent writes in, Rodgers' jumpiness reminds me of Jim Everett at the end of his career. That's a sign of the end of an era. Yeah, I mean, like Neil's point about, Russell Wilson look washed, this and that, I get it. But there's a significant difference in an age 36 player and 41. Most guys aren't good in their 40s. Favre had a good age 40 season, and then that was it. And Brady's the outlier. He's an alien. Tyrone with a $10 super chat. Let's go, Tyrone. Appreciate your support. As always, you're the man. Coaching a New York team is like marrying a divorced woman with baggage that will make New York hard to get some coaches. The Jets team has a lot of talent. We just need to stop crying about it in the past. So the analogy is coaching a New York team is like marrying a divorced woman with baggage. Well, I can't speak to this. I have not been married, and thus I have not been divorced. But to those of you who have, you could weigh in the chat if Tyrone is accurate. NYC to SRQ. A-Rod can finish 6-0. We're still going to reset. Sign Winston for 2 years with a team option in year 2 and draft a quarterback with several starts in college. Jameis Winston, you wouldn't give a 2-year deal to. You'd put him on a 1-year deal. I don't hate it. I still want them to draft a quarterback, though. If they don't do it in the top 8 where they're picking, I would prefer a trade back into round 1 or early day 2. Shout out to listener Bo, who won an item from the merch store. Bo is going with an Asmaniac black hoodie that we'll be sending out to him as soon as the show ends. Luppy, I guess, is not watching live, but he's in the Discord. We'll get his merch item right after this. Chris M says, not a fan of Heyman or Keith McPherson, but WFAN fall off amazing. Well, here's what I would recommend. You listen to Jake Asman on the other sports radio station in town tomorrow from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. ESPN New York. The big fella. Not everyone is George Blanda. Brady's the only one that played into their 40s at an elite level. That's it. We have a lot of talk about divorce in the chat, I see. Shout out to Tyrone for inspiring that conversation. Also, was Neil calling from a new location today? Looked like a new perspective there. Genergy writes in, never married, never divorced. I like my peace. Interesting. More of your calls right now. Let's say hello to the Hamburger who's next. What's up, Hamburger? I saw you shaking your head in disgust during that Neil call, so I had to go to you next.
It's not discuss. Listen, when we got Aaron Rodgers, just like everybody else, just like all of our all Jet fans, we watch every movie made, every Pat McAfee. Like, I get it. I love Aaron Rodgers too. I love him. I'm a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers. I like his personality. I like quirky personalities. They bring interest to me. So I get it. It's hard to let go, but like the Buffalo Jet fan said, it's like 20%, 15% chance of him coming back. I mean, Lazard's coming back this week, if I'm correct, Jake.
Lazard will be activated and will be out there tomorrow. Yes.
Okay, so now he gets his binky back that he had at the beginning of the year. If he comes out and he's as bad as he was these last games, you can pretty much stamp it that he ain't coming back. I mean, it'll be a 0% chance. I want to see him succeed, but it's just you can't buy into it. Neil, it's so unlikely, and it's unlikely that we're even going to win another game. I mean, to be honest, but I heard
honestly, if you tell me they're going to win 2 games or they're going to lose out, I'll take the lose out option. It will suck to go through, but if they unless you're telling me it's both Miami games or one Miami and one Buffalo, I don't need them to beat the Rams. That doesn't do anything for me. I'm not going to be mad if they do it. No, I'm not going to root against my team at this point. It is what it is. But
yeah, exactly.
It's just sad that's the scenario we find ourselves in.
Correct. I heard a few rumors about Stefanski possibly even being let go. Have you heard the same thing?
I mean, that's been out there, but then they won that game on Thursday, and then the reports were they're not going to get rid of him. Look, there is always a surprise firing every year. Some have speculated maybe it's Stefanski. Maybe it's Zach Taylor with the Bengals. And if that job opens up, I think it's immediately the number 1 job because of Joe Burrow. But, there's always that surprise. Pete Carroll was a surprise last year. Mike Vrabel was a surprise last year. There were 2 big surprises last year. So you never know. I'd be very surprised if Stefanski were to be fired. Now, if he is, he's my number 1 target for the Jets.
That's what I was going to ask. That's number 1. He immediately moves above everyone else, without a doubt.
Offensive guy, one with many quarterbacks. If you can win in Cleveland, you can win it with the Jets. So I'm in.
Yeah, just watching him in some of the coverage that you see of him coaching a team and stuff like that, speaking to the team, he's an amazing guy, man. He fires me up watching him coach. So I really like Stefanski, but we'll see. Hopefully he gets let go. But listen, again, I'm pushing for the Jets to win. I like seeing good football, so I don't think it's going to happen. Like I said, I think we're going to get blown out 42-27. I'll stick by that.
27 is a lot of points, man.
It is, but I don't. With Sauce not being there, I see them taking advantage downfield and not being able to keep up with their wide receivers.
Yeah, but how are the Jets scoring 27?
I don't know. I'm kind of hopeful. I'm just hoping we get some action, man. I'm trying to be believable here. I don't know, man. I want somewhat of an interesting game.
I have a question for you. Obviously we know you love hamburgers, but do you prefer cheese on them?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Well, I know. If you remember in my first call, I explained how I got the hamburger name.
Yes. For those who are new to the show or maybe who didn't see it, please explain it again.
All right. So basically what I did is I was on my secondary YouTube that I had created for my oldest son. He's 27. I had convinced him while I was eating dinner, while he was eating a hamburger. I looked at him, I said, "Hey, Christian," I said, "you know those hamburgers are made of ham, right?" And he looks at me like, cross-eyed. I said, "Hamburgers, ham. Have you ever had a beef burger, like a beef patty? That's a beef patty." And he goes, 26 years of my entire life, I didn't know they were made of ham. So I created a hamburger page for him, and I had a bunch of videos with him doing stupid stuff. And that's how I ended up calling on your show, and it popped up as The Hamburger. So I stuck with it.
And he does enjoy cheeseburgers too. Tremendous.
I do. Real name is Rob, if anybody cares.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Hamburger. Check it in. Another excellent call by one of the greats. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, get the membership. If you want a raffle ticket for our next giveaway, we'll do another top 3. Grand prize is the Quinnen jersey. All the jerseys, by the way, that I have are players that I believe will be here for next year. They're under contract. And it's the new jerseys as well. All right. So at least you're getting a modern jersey. Unfortunately, I have a bunch of Rodgers jerseys, but I think we know where this is headed, other than Neil. All right, let's get to more of your calls. We might regret this, but we have no choice. We go in order on who calls in around here. What's fair is fair. Buckle up.
Chicken with pasta is worse than peanut butter with sandwich.
Hello, Gary.
Hello, Jacob. So I got a couple of things to address first. First, King won the lottery, huh? He won the Garrett Wilson autographed jersey.
He won. It's not autographed, but he did win. He did win the Garrett Wilson jersey.
Okay. Because that's kind of like the Knicks winning the first ever lottery and getting Patrick Ewing. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's weird how that happened.
Are you trying to say that my bucket here was frozen, perhaps?
Were you saying that David Stern's bucket was frozen in '85? I don't know. Maybe
the frozen envelope theory.
Yeah. It also looks bent too. Like it looks like the card is bent in half. But we'll put that to the side. The other thing is the Allen blasphemy has got to stop. Allen's a good dude. You can like him, you could love him. Well, let's not sit here and bash my boy. I talked to Allen for about a half hour last night on the phone about the college football playoff scenarios. Allen's a good dude. You might hate him, and that's understandable, but he's a good dude. No more Allen blasphemy.
I feel like that doesn't make sense what you just said. You might hate him, and that's understandable, but he's a good dude. How could he be a good dude if it's understandable for people to hate the guy?
Well, because his personality is a little abrasive. That doesn't make him a bad guy, though. Having an abrasive personality doesn't make you a bad guy.
Look, I don't think he's necessarily a bad human. I just think he's a fraudulent Jet fan. He does not actually root for the Jets to win. He rather than be bad so he could just continue to put on the persona that he's negative and wants everything to be bad, and every move they make is the wrong one.
I watched the Jet Denver game with him, and he was unhappy. He's a Jets fan. I can confirm he's a Jet fan. But I think he's also so beaten up by this team, which I want to get to next.
But he's negative about everything. Everything.
He is. And that's how I feel about my Longhorns today. Like, the Longhorns are not going to win today. They're not going to win.
But they're in the playoff either way. If they lose, who cares?
Yeah, they're in the playoff either way, but they're not going to win today.
Now, if they win, they get a bye, though? Is that what they're playing for, basically?
Yeah, they'll get a bye, and they'll probably be the 2 seed. If Oregon loses today, they'll probably be the 1 seed, but they're not good.
What time is that game? Is that 4 Eastern?
4 Eastern, yeah.
Okay.
Got my Sam Ellinger jersey on, baby.
Yeah, baby. Is he still the third string on the Colts?
Yeah. Then the other thing is Neil with this Aaron Rodgers thing. Look, I have a 10-year-old son with special needs, and when he hits a free throw or something, like, everyone claps and goes crazy for him. That's how Neil is acting with Aaron Rodgers. Like, stop. He's not been good. Don't act like what he's doing is good. It's not.
And then he's like, I know he's not been good, but then he tries to justify it with all this stuff, and it's like, Neil, we gotta, like, we killed Zach Wilson for some of the things Aaron is now doing these last 3 games. It's like, we got to be fair around here. If Aaron plays great the last 5, obviously, I think our opinions on him coming back next year will change. But my thing is, if he looked like crap last week off the bye against a mediocre defense at home with 2 weeks to get ready for it, why is he going to play better against Miami? And then why is he going to play better in Buffalo in a couple weeks or against the Rams who are going to need that game? Like, I just don't see it.
I wouldn't personally bring him back. I would just go with Tyrod. But if you're going to draft a rookie and you want to bring him back for one last year, it's not the worst thing in the world if you bring in a rookie and let him play. I wouldn't do it, but Rodgers is not going to be good anymore. Like, can we just face reality? He's done, right? Like, we should have known that when he had the injury.
No, we didn't need to know that because look how great he played against the Patriots in week 3, right?
Yeah,
and then
he can flash. It's just like Kobe's last year. Like, he had some great games, but ultimately he wasn't good anymore, right? Like, that's I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think we expected the drop-off to be this. And even with the quote-unquote drop-off, he's played well enough in several of these games where he's not the reason why they lost. He's not. He's not the reason why they lost to the Colts, even though he played an awful first half in that game. He's not the reason why they lost to the Patriots in Foxborough. He's not the reason why they lost to Buffalo at home. If Tyron Smith doesn't commit a brutal holding penalty or Zerline didn't miss 2 kicks that night, they win that one. Like, it's just but Rodgers ultimately being who he is and the face of the franchise, he's the one who's going to get the most of the blame for this, but he's not the reason why they're 3-9, not by himself.
No. There's a lot. I mean, when 3-9 with this amount of talent, there's a lot of things that gone wrong. Like, I mean, a lot. There has to be, right? Because this is not a 3-9 team. This is a much better team than that. So when you're 3-9, that means a lot of things went wrong, and a lot of things did go wrong. Like the New England game, all you have to do is hold New England's backup quarterback to not score a touchdown on the last drive, and you win the game. They couldn't do it. It's like, how do you? It's hard to take. And then the Denver game with the kicking, it's like, this is hard to take. It's something wrong every single week. But what I wanted to say was, Rodgers wasn't supposed to be the reason why you didn't lose. He was supposed to be a reason why you won. He was supposed to win you games, not just not lose you games, right? When you have crappy quarterbacks like Tim Boyle, you just hope they don't lose them for you. Rodgers is supposed to win them for you. That was the difference. And clearly, he didn't do that. I'm not blaming Rodgers. I'm not saying he's the worst quarterback in the NFL. It's obviously better than any quarterback play we've had in years. That's not good quarterback play, but it's better. It's time to move off of him. And the last thing I wanted to say was, I just think I'm cursed as a Jet fan. I remember you had Joe Beningo on like early in the season. He was saying like all these years he's been watching sports, he's only got like 5 total championships ever. And he's like 70 years old or whatever. That sounds great to me. I'm 40 and I have 0. I don't see any in the horizon, in the near horizon either. Like, I mean, when the Jets lost to Pittsburgh and went to 2-5, the Bears were 4-2. My wife's a huge Bears fan. I said, all right, babe, I'm going to root for the Bears with you every week. What have they done since? They're 0-6. Like, I'm cursed. Like, any team I root for.
You want to be a Bills fan next year?
Do you want me to root for the Bills?
Yeah.
They'll suck. I'll take them for the team. I'll root for the Bills. They'll be 2-15.
Great.
I root for them. I remember when Dallas played Miami, not the LeBron team, when they had Wade and Shaq in 06 or whatever it was. And Dallas was up 2-0. I called my friends back home and said, I'm going to root for Dallas. You know what happened the next 4 games? They lost all 4 of them. I'm just cursed as a fan. Like, the Longhorns are going to get smoked today. Everyone's picking the Longhorns. They're going to get smoked today. You know why? Because I'm rooting for them. I have no other explanation. I'm 40.
You have a legit chance to see your college football team win a national title this year, Gary. It's not crazy to fathom.
You want to bet they lose today and they lose in their first round of the playoffs?
No, because I don't care enough to bet against or for Texas. I'm just saying they have a chance.
They do, and like I rooted for a team that had KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. They won 1 playoff series.
What was worse,
Jake?
It's
not a pity party. It's just reality.
Is the KD, Kyrie, Harden era as a net fan worse than the Aaron Rodgers era with the Jets? It's similar from the standpoint of the expectations and grossly underachieving.
It's worse. Wow. It's worse in a sense because I thought I was going to have a bunch of years of that, right? Like, okay, you're going to have 3 or 4 years to win. This I knew was a 1-year deal, but this was worse because it was over before it started. They were 2-5. It's like season's over.
Yeah, at least the Nets were in the second round of the playoffs with,
Yeah, and if they could have just won that game, then Kyrie would have been back, and maybe I don't know which one's worse. This is just sucked because it's just over. It was over before it started. Like I
Can
did
you
the
comment
Mets-
on this report from Jay Quest breaking news? Heard Bobby has eaten 6 sticks of butter since his diet began.
He told me he ate turkey with butter. To me, that sounded like he was cooking the turkey in butter. I don't know. I talked to Bobby last night. His shoulder
Bobby
still
hasn't
hurts.
called this show. He's boycotting the show again.
I don't think so. I don't think he's feeling well. I called him yesterday. He hurt his shoulder. His shoulder's messed up. He's gonna get an X-ray on Monday because they don't do X-rays on the weekend where he's at. And but he's feeling good otherwise besides his shoulder. Bobby's
So the shoulder damage all stemming from the Jay Quest thrust heard around the world.
Oh no!
Jay Quest, don't feel bad. It was an accident. I don't think you put Bobby in the hospital on purpose. All right. We love you, Jay Quest. But yeah, his shoulder's messed up.
I see. All right. Well, Gary, you have a tremendous day. Good luck to your Texas Longhorns.
Lose by 20 points.
Plants are trying to kill me, so I think I'll eat a stick of butter.
Super chat from Neil, who says Drew Brees in 2020 at 41 at 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 70% completion, 106 rating. Hall of Fame quarterbacks are the exception. Forgot that. Yeah, Brees was good. And then he completely fell off. And Brees also wasn't coming off an Achilles injury like Aaron is. That's the other factor in all this. Yeah, I just think we got to be realistic. If Aaron goes somewhere else and plays well, fine. But like the Jets aren't just weighing Aaron Rodgers versus the field. They're weighing Aaron Rodgers versus the field, and then the dead cap going from $49 million to $63 million if you keep him for one extra year. John LG opines that Bobby going on Gary's diet will kill him. I am making an Allen-type prediction. Look, I think Bobby eating a stick of butter is not the best way to lose weight. I think the best way for Bobby to lose weight would be to mix in a salad, in addition to walking and having some quality protein. But don't tell that to Gary. Peter Castro says, end of Bobby. You're killing him, Castro?
We got to get rid of Yolbrick and then go after Gabriel first. Then I want Queensberry. Got to look at the monkey guy. I like Floney. And maybe Slow Dick in Houston is the answer.
I still think Slow Dick in Houston should get an interview with the Jets. Just for the hilarity of it. But I wouldn't hire him. King Lowski says, Jay Quest and Gary might be the death of Bobby. Shake my head. It is sad what's happening here. ISU writes in, Castro about to drop $500 to see if Bobby has a pulse. Yeah.
I can't even believe it. I can't even believe it.
Hell yeah. Rick Kent writes in, there's no shortcut to losing weight. Eat less, exercise more. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Rick Kent. Ryan says, can someone throw me a gifted membership? If you give someone a membership, you'll get a raffle ticket, baby, with your name on it for our next drawing. We are 80 away. No, we had 10 coming in, 15 coming in. I'm bad at math. That's 35 subtracted from 100. Yeah. 65 away. There we go. 65 away from our next drawing. Math is fun, folks. Jay Quest says, Bobby is alive and well. I think eating a stick of butter is a terrible idea. Jay Quest, you put the man in the hospital. You dog. Ladies and gentlemen, we get back to your calls right now. And before we bring this guy on, as we always do, we issue a warning.
Allen alert, fraud alert, curmudgeon alert, Allen alert. Nobody likes this shitbag.
Hello, Alan.
First of all, the venomous hatred you have towards me during that call with Neil.
Did I say anything that is not wrong?
Yes, you've said a couple of things that are not wrong. I actually am excited about my young Atlanta Hawks. So it's not like every team I hate. They are young and they are hungry and they will beat the Knicks on Tuesday night. Okay.
They will
First
not
of all,
go on. It's
they
Wednesday.
will. They're a good young team. Okay. First of all, Gary is the salt of the earth, but go Georgia. That's all I have to say. Sorry, just have to say it right off the bat.
Well, why are you rooting for Georgia? Just because Gary's a fan of Texas?
No, I'm actually going to a watch party with a bunch of Longhorn fans, and living here in Texas, two things I hate more are the Cowboys and the Longhorns. So
This is why you're a shitbag. The reason you just gave for why you're rooting against Texas.
I don't like Texas. I never liked Texas.
You want the people around you today to be miserable, and that includes.
That's why they're inviting me over. They love having a hated fan, so that's why I'm rooting for Georgia. Okay. As far as Neil is concerned, now you understand why old people have expiration dates. That's the problem with Neil. Okay. Neil has no. I mean, I love Neil. Neil is a good guy. But the best thing that could happen to the Jets right now is for them to lose out. Because at 3-14, I don't think Neil could even defend Aaron Rodgers anymore. Beating teams like the Dolphins or the Jaguars is not going to prove anything to me. I laughed out loud when he said, oh, the Jets could beat the Bills. Are you fucking kidding me? The Bills will beat them 45-10. You can name the score in that game, okay? And I will tell you one thing, Aaron Rodgers will not be playing the final game of the year at MetLife. He'll be way outside of New York. He'll be gone by then, okay? But listening to Neil talk with such adoration for a guy that is washed is just comical. I thought the reason I brought up 2026 on an earlier call with Boy Green is they have so much dead cap next year with guys that are not even going to be on the roster and an expected $49 million dead cap for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, there's a good chance there'll be about $70 to $100 million dead cap in 2025 that realistically, they're not going to be a good team at all next year. So
I don't know. I don't know if I buy that. Denver had even more dead cap than what the Jets would have.
But Denver has a real coach. I don't even know who the coach is.
Well, that's kind of the difference. Point. If you get the coaching hire right, there is existing talent that's going to be here no matter what the dead cap situation is.
I think they will struggle next year with all the. First of all, they're going to lose a bunch of decent players.
They could hire Mike Vrabel, and you would say they're going to struggle next year. They can do, in your mind, the Jets could do nothing good, and they're always going to be bad.
That is absolutely not true. It's not true. I was excited for the Jets in 2010 with Rex with those 2 seasons. I thought they were good. I thought they had great veterans on that team. The problem is, over the last 14 years, they've brought in shitty management and awful coaching.
If they hire Mike Vrabel, what are your thoughts going to be on that move?
I like the Vrabel hire. The problem with bringing Vrabel in is if Vrabel comes in and he wants to keep Aaron Rodgers, it defeats the purpose.
I don't think he would keep Aaron Rodgers.
What?
I don't think he would keep Aaron Rodgers if he goes
there's
out there.
Talk. There was, I think I had read that Vrabel really likes Aaron Rodgers and wants him back.
But that doesn't mean he would keep him if he looks at the
I
guy
don't want him back. That's the bottom line is I don't want Aaron Rodgers back in 2025. And it delays the inevitability of this team not going anywhere with a 41 going on a 42-year-old quarterback. I'd like Vrabel to come here. But again, realistically, with no quarterback and all that dead cap money, I don't see success at all in 2025. I really don't.
You probably could have said that, though, about Denver and their situation, and they were able to go out there, get the coaching hire right with Peyton, and win games. You can't tell me the Jets can't be competitive next year when you look at their offensive line, it's projected to be solid. They have a star receiver, a star running back. They got a bunch of really good players on defense. You're already talking about 2026. We went through the dead cap stuff earlier. The Jets have cap space. If they take their medicine and get rid of Aaron Rodgers all in one, it could be a $49 million in dead cap, but they also have the ability to spread it out over 2 years if they want. They have all their draft capital under contract next year. Look at the team that they already have in place. They got Jermaine coming back with now Will McDonald and Quinnen. Quincy's here. Michael Carter and Sauce are here in the secondary. We went through the offense earlier. There's pieces here. I'm not giving up on next year. The Jets are 3-9 this year. You know how close they could be to at least being 6-6 right now? With mediocre coaching, they might have 3 more wins right now. Ladies and gentlemen, back-to-back super chats from V-Man. Alan Huff Gobs of Copium. Knicks over Hawks book it. Alan, the Hawks suck, by the way. All right, F off with your Atlanta Hawks nonsense. No one cares. They stink. Trae Young's a bum. I don't want to hear it. V-Man, they could use dark magic to bring back the 68 roster and the coaching staff, and Allen would find a way to complain. The Jets could win the Super Bowl 35-31, and Allen would call in and be mad that the defense allowed 31 points. Anyone who thinks he's actually rooting for the Jets to be successful, I have a bridge I want to sell you. I don't buy it for a second. A second. The only thing Allen cares about is having this persona that he's negative and wants to be hated on this show. And let me call into as many Jet YouTube shows as possible to regurgitate my points on why this team sucks. We know, Allen. We get it. Ladies and gentlemen, more of your calls right now. The aforementioned V-Man is up next. He's on the line, and we say, warning to all, it's time.
It's time for another V-Man call. Hopefully he's not on the toilet.
Hey, Jake, how you doing?
I'm good, V-Man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. Just looking at the comments, seeing if Alan's going to say anything stupid. Because
Probably.
Let's see what levels of stupid he can get up to.
Yeah, get his ass, V-Man.
But I'm not wrong about that. I'm not wrong. Like, they could bring back that level of talent to this team. He would find a way to complain. But,
I'm telling you, they would win the Super Bowl 35-31, and he would be mad the defense allowed that many points.
Oh, come on, dude. Like, is he really making an ice joke in the comments?
Or here would be another thing that Allen would be upset about, or this would be Allen's take the day after the Jets win the Super Bowl. Man, it's awesome they won. We're not going to go back to back. We should tear the whole thing down and start tanking and rebuilding right now.
Yeah. No. Before we talk football, I'm just going to say this to Alan. Puerto Ricans have had a U.S. citizenship since the signing of the Jones-Shafran Act in 1917.
Don't answer him, man. Ignore his nonsense.
But, talking with the, with this team, I agree with you that, with the proper coaching, and a front office that's able to quickly pivot and make the right moves when necessary, we would be 6-6 because, we all know that Zerline was cooked well before they made the move to get rid of him. And how many games did they blow because of him shanking field goals?
At least 2, if not 3, you could argue. I mean, they'd have 2 more wins with better kicking alone. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
and I think with better coaching, they don't lose to Jacoby Brissett and Anthony Richardson on the final drive with the talent they have on defense. So, look, every year is different, as we've seen this year. But, the idea you're already giving up on next year, why? 7 teams now make it in the playoffs every year. Hire a real coach and get competent quarterback play and fix the defense and kicking game, and you're going to be in a lot of games next year with a chance to win.
Exactly. We get you're right. We get the right coach in here. We do have. It's really not much more. I don't think it's a rebuild. This team needs more of a kind of like with the Patriots with a reload. Just supplement, shore up the few weak points. And I think even because we're probably going to end up with Tyrod next year starting the game, and then you're going to be a competitive team. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're just on the edge of the playoffs. Maybe
I actually don't think it's going to be Tyrod for what it's worth. I think Tyrod's traded and they bring in a different bridge quarterback. That's just my feeling right now.
What are you feeling like?
I could see Jameis Winston being here next year.
That would be it. That would be interesting. It would be like a 30
with a rookie behind him. Yep.
Yeah. But who are they taking? Because this is not like the QB class. It's like this is the sad lot of the Jets luck. It's like they're always crappy right before the really good. They're always crappy the year before the good class is supposed to come in.
I think it really depends on where they end up picking. Like, who are they picking? I mean, where are they picking? 1, 2, 3? I mean, I think they come away with a quarterback though, either in the first or second round though. That I do believe.
Okay, yeah, I really don't see this team winning another game unless
Jacksonville next week is very winnable. Mac Jones is starting.
Man, that one. Okay, maybe like that. It very unlikely. Although I'm only gonna say this because it's Miami in the cold. Maybe the last game of the year because we all know the Dolphins just literally wet the bed whenever the temperature goes below 45 degrees. So maybe those two I can see them win those two games, but besides that, not much else. So like reality is you're probably not looking at a spot where you're going to end up getting one of the two quarterbacks. So you're probably looking at a day 2 pick at quarterback. So like I said, like reality, what good? This is not like a strong year for quarterbacks. So I mean, what are you going to end up getting if you're just going to end up with a bridge quarterback?
What if they get Cam Ward or Sanders?
We'll have to wait and see,
Or Drew Allen or Jalen Milroe.
Like I said, we'll have to wait and see. Hope for the best. I saw you liked my post yesterday. Actually, I was at the bar because for those who don't know, yesterday
V-Man at the bar. Who could have saw that happening?
Yeah, well, no, I'll explain. So yesterday marked, sadly, 1 year since my uncle, you said it in yesterday's call show, ended his life. So my sister, my mother, and my cousin decided to go to one of his old stomping grounds by I think it was something, I don't remember. It's by the Brooklyn Bridge. It's an old bar, and it's got a bunch of, I don't know if you can see in the picture, you can see like the brawls hanging down from the ceiling. I can't remember the name of the place right now off the top of my head. If anybody in the chat has ever been to that bar, maybe you can name drop it so I could remember it. But yeah, I went down there, and actually the bartender recognized me from your show and slid me a free beer.
Actually?
No shit. No lie.
How did this stuff always happens to my listeners, and then I go out and about, and I never run into anyone? That's not true, but that's hilarious. Well, I'm glad you got a free drink. That's awesome. Who was the bartender? What was his name? I got to shout him out.
I don't remember. He didn't give me his name. He just said, you just asked me, are you a V-Man? And then he said, yeah. Oh, cool. And then he said, he went to his buddy on the other side. He was cleaning up on the one side. He was moving chairs. He said, hey, dude, give this guy a free drink.
I love it. You're famous, V-Man. You really are.
Yeah. So it doesn't look like anyone anyone has apparently been to that bar because they would have name dropped it by now. I'm trying to remember something Ale House. It's like begins with the letter J. Does it?
All right. Well, you let us know when you figure it out.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later, man.
Farewell, V-Man.
That's the end of that V-Man call. Now he can go back to sleeping.
Imagine being an Asmaniac and V-Man shows up. Miller's Ale House, V-Man. He said it started with a J, though. I don't know. What a show this has been, huh? Thank you to everyone who gifted a membership. We added 20 this show. 65 away from our next raffle. Congrats to our 3 winners, Bo, Luppy, and the jersey winner, King Lowski. Hit the like button on your way out of here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Reminder, I'm on ESPN New York, 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Then the post-game show on YouTube will be at 8. And we'll talk about this Jet-Dolphin game. Enjoy the college football today. Enjoy hopefully a stress-free day because tomorrow the Jets play. Rich says hit the like. Let's get the 200. We don't have 200 likes yet? Damn. That's sad. That's how you know there's no one watching the show anymore. How depressing. Only 252 people live right now. Just brutal. Just brutal. God damn you, Jets. Really thought this was going to be a year at the bare minimum they end the playoff drop. Unreal. Thank you to everyone who does watch, though. The true diehards are still locked in, and that's what it's all about. Thanks to all the callers. Couldn't do without you. Super chats, membership gifts. You guys are the best. We're back tomorrow with the post-game show, as I mentioned. Hear me on the radio before then. Hope everyone has a tremendous Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your day. JETS. Jets, baby. We continue with your calls right now. Bobby Midnight joins us. Hello, Bobby.
Hi, guys. I don't think you can see me very good, can you?
Are you lying down, Bobby? What's happening here?
Yeah, putting my foot up against the wall, remember? Can you see me?
Oh, we see you.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. Okay, I didn't know. Hey, Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm trying my best, Stop laughing, Jake. Okay, take me off full screen, thank you.
We can't see you if I don't go full screen. You're too far away. Like, you look how you normally look on the show from a size perspective, but unfortunately, I need to zoom in, otherwise we can't see you. I think that lampshade needs to be straightened a little bit.
Okay, I will after the thing, okay? God, geez,
Well, hold on, Bobby. I have a new intro for you. Are you ready?
I'm not gonna be happy.
Well, I need to walk more to survive unless Jake is going live. Gotta elevate my leg on Bobby.
All right, that's not too bad. Okay, I thought it was gonna be even worse.
Hector wants to know, are you posing for a... Bobby, repeat after me. Paint me like one of your French girls. Bobby, can you please fix the lampshade?
I can't reach it. I got so long, Jake. Will you stop?
Tom says the lampshade is driving him nuts, though. Jake West wants to know, is that your belly button or something else?
Probably my belly button.
Jake, you always have a way to join the show 55 minutes in after we had all the Jets talk. A Gator wants to know, can Bobby bring the lampshade to the game?
I'm already bringing the chair. I'm not bringing the lampshade to the game.
Could you imagine joining the show and you just see a guy laying on his couch with a crooked lampshade?
I fixed my thing.
You fixed the lamp?
Yep.
Did you, though?
Yes, it's already fixed. I straightened it out. Okay, now it's fixed, right, guys?
Jake says it's mostly crooked the other way now.
Oh, my God.
Tom says Jake did not get his money's worth. It has to be totally fixed.
I'm going to embarrass you on my show. Are you happy now?
It looks good.
Is it fixed now?
Well, it's... Oh, my goodness.
What? Brandon, is it fixed or what? 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 What?
You don't see it?
What?
My screen.
What? It's crooked again?
No, well, yeah. You have two lamps now, Bobby?
All right, that's me. That's me. Okay, I see now.
I think you have two lamps.
I got one lamp.
My screen is saying there's two now.
That's Gator. Gator put that up. Gator, stop it.
It's just another one of those silly fucking Gator moments.
Which one is real?
That's the best of those. It's the old lamp. That's it.
Right there. Stop it.
It's done. It's done. Okay, get the other stuff off my screen, please. Is that better now?
Looks great, Bobby. Nicely done.
Okay, yeah, about time, Jake. Brandon, I'm sorry for this interruption, okay?
It's okay.
Your show is one of one. That I had to hide myself from laughing behind the scenes because it was so damn funny. But
I had to mute my mic several times today for laughing so hard. Joseph Michelangelo just sent me an email of what the Bobby lamp emoji could look like. There it is. So absurd, you have to laugh. Unreal. What a moment. Have a good Saturday, everybody. Go Jets. Lane, what's going on?
I don't think the Buffalo Bills could wear white if the Jets were wearing white. It doesn't make sense. Garrett Wilson and the Jets have a new coach. His name is going to be Nomo Robert Saleh. He also has to keep talking to his players going into the locker room. Attention, please. We have to do better going into tonight's game. We have to play better. We got to move the ball around. We have to focus more. and we also have to do a lot of other passing.
So they need to hear that before week 1.
Yeah, and it's funny how you put me in a suit in the draft, and I Wait, you did that, or you took somebody's suit and put it on me? The pick goes to Knoble out of college. You gonna pick a blue suit for me? What am I, Anchorman? From I looked like from that movie, the Anchorman movie. I'll let you go. Bye.
You can't teach greatness, folks.